health care. And as angry as I am, and as you are, there is someone here tonight with us who is also outraged about the transvaginal ultrasound bill and the personhood bill. And she has come all the way from California to be with us tonight. She was born and raised in California and studied cinema and journalism at the University of California. She made her film debut in Stakeout opposite Richard Dreyfuss. She went on to work with Kevin Costner and Jack Nicholson, and many of you may remember her in The Last of the Mohicans with Daniel Day-Lewis. Madeleine Stowe is a star of stage, screen, and most recently in an ABC television series, Revenge. Not only is she a 2012 Best Actress Golden Globe nominee for Revenge, but she is also one of People Magazine's 2012 Most Beautiful People. Those of you who met Madeleine tonight, I'm sure discovered that she is as warm and personable as she is talented and beautiful. She helped found and she volunteers for Artists for Peace and Justice, an organization that helps build homes and schools in Haiti. She's married to Brian Benben, star of the TV series Private Practice, and they have a 16-year-old daughter. Madeleine and Brian have been together for 32 years, and that's quite a milestone. Now, please join me in welcoming one of our most visible and avid supporters of women's reproductive rights and the women's strike force, Madeleine Stowe.
I probably got shot out of the cannon and I wasn't quite sure what happened was. So you forgive me, I'm a lousy public speaker. But I'm incredibly privileged to be here tonight with you all. And you all comes to me easy because, number one, my husband hails from the Shenandoah Valley. And his mama and his papa and his brother are all buried there, so this state has great meaning to us. We follow you very actively. And number two, I ranched in Texas. But I'd like to thank Catherine Waddell and Chris right now for the incredible work that all of you actually are doing right here. And you are being watched across the nation. I would love to see this campaign being taken national. Because this is the number one fundamental issue of our time. Everything begins with this. Okay. Anyway, so I'm here to thank Catherine and the fighting members of the Women's Strike Force for having the guts, the backbone, and the fury to take on these backward-looking politicians who are viciously waging a nasty war against women. It's funny how it works, isn't it? These lawmakers who claim to hate governmental interference in individual liberties, the same folks who don't like pat-downs in airports or have the government involved in health care because they say that it gets in the way of a patient's privacy with her doctor, had voted into law mandatory vaginal rape by ultrasound before a woman has to terminate. Let's be clear here. No one in God's green earth wakes up in the morning and says, "What a great day! I'm going to get an abortion today." How lucky could a woman be? Yet the Commonwealth of Virginia has ordered into law an unnecessary violating inspection of your bodies to guilt trip you into submission and have you in their control. And that's what it amounts to. By passing this law, they are able to disguise their true motive, which is to shame a woman struggling with a difficult emotional decision into living a life she's neither able nor prepared to handle. There is not a single person in this room who would deny a woman a right to have as many children as she wishes, and no one here is pro-abortion. We're pro-choice. And there's There's a minority in this state and in pockets across America who believe in stripping away a woman's constitutional right to self-determination and what happens to her body and her future. The Women's Task Force speaks for millions of women across America who are stunned and infuriated that a few lawmakers are inserting themselves in our private lives. Our individual rights and freedoms should be protected by the government and not stolen by the government. And when it comes to this ultrasound law, which went into effect at the beginning of this month, and in spite of Governor McDonald's shameful backpedaling after protesters marched on the Capitol steps, causing the author vaginal flow to a young man, I want to be absolutely clear how bogus his kinder rate is. Let me get Victoria Grayson on you here. Okay? I admit it. Okay? The only way an abdominal ultrasound can detect a fetus is after 10 weeks. If a woman wants and needs to terminate a pregnancy earlier, say at 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks, she's still ordered to be penetrated vaginally by Big Brother's ultrasound wand. And not only is she medically raped, she's expected to pay for her emotionally painful degradation and say, "Thank you, Governor McDonald. Thank you for entering my body and humiliating me for having to make a heartbreaking decision." These critters of the days gone by don't even have the guts to utter the word vagina when they voted this bill to law. Catherine made this point. Delegate Alba prefers to call it the V. What? It sounds like he's calling the procedure a race car. Okay? The truth is, Alba and men across America would cry foul that the government passed a law invading their body cavities and searched their self-righteous penile. Right? Men can't even get together to devise a 100% effective birth control method for themselves. So if you want to put our lives in these politicians' hands, don't tell me they've forgotten how conception happens. They act like us women folk magically just do it by ourselves. Right? More often than not, we're left shouldering the emotional burden and holding the bag. Okay? But it gets weirder. Even more disturbing is the passage of HB1, otherwise known as the Personhood Bill, by a House vote of 66 to 32. This bill will force all women to be battered to accepting their notion that life begins in conception. So under that ruse, any birth control method, whether it's the pill, the IUD, the morning after pill, which incidentally has been proven to disallow the sperm from eating the egg, okay? Right-fighters don't want you to know this. Or the vaginal ring. Excuse me, the V ring. Will be considered illegal and likened to a murder weapon under this atrocious bill. Because of your loud and determined protest, has been carried over to 2013 for a vote, but it's a potential law that's very much alive and threatens every woman of childbearing age. Virginia Republican legislators are ruthless in their obsession to restrict reproductive rights. They're conducting a flat-out war against us, and their creativity knows no bounds in pursuit of their 19th century ideology. They want to require first trimester abortion clinics to be regulated as hospitals, tactically putting them out of practice by forcing them to pay for millions of dollars to rebuild their offices, something these lawmakers don't require of plastic surgeons, dental, or oral surgeons. All right? They have moved parental notification of parental consent to 24 hours and informed consent. They're repealing state funding for low-income women when their health is at risk. Now let's start naming names here. Okay, Delegate Mark Cole is patron of a bill that would repeal the Board of Health's mandate to fund abortions for women who are eligible for Medicaid. This includes cases in which a physician certifies that a fetus would be born with a totally incapacitating physical deformity or mental deficiency. Right? That's right. That's right. You tell us, sister. This bill passed the House by a vote of 65 to 35. How is a woman with an income of $14,000 or less going to provide any quality of life for a damaged child, herself, or her family when she's under the duress of economic and emotional hardships these intruders don't seem to fathom? They will not stop until their forced vision of their own sanctimonious morality makes abortions illegal in Virginia and everywhere else. Women have had enough, the women's strike force has had enough, and you know what's at stake. The only way to fight off this unilateral attack is to defeat legislators who introduce, co-patron, and vote in favor of legislation restricting women's reproductive rights. I'm actually privileged to introduce to you a man who's in the fight with us. When protesters marched on the Capitol steps of Virginia against the governmental war on women, former Colonel Wayne Powell, who is also an attorney, moved straightway to represent 15 of the 30 men and women who have been arrested during this peaceful demonstration. He offered his services pro bono because it's the American thing to do. Individual rights too, and not when some overzealous body of government defines our individual rights. He's running for Congress in the 7th District against Eric Cantor. Let me tell you something about Eric. Eric has a 0% grade on women's reproductive rights by NARO, Pro-Choice America. And hypocritically, Eric Cantor, whatever, is a dude who went on CPS and said he hates governmental interference between a patient and their doctor. Yeah! And he's condoning this disgusting law passed in the state and has gutted funding for Planned Parenthood at the federal level while he stopped funding for contraceptive and foreign aid. Virginia and America need candidates like Wayne Powell who will go to the mat to make sure that our daughters and our granddaughters are treated equally and fairly under the law and the Constitution. So when Democrats control the state Senate, these bills go on the road to nowhere where they belong. Unfortunately, when the Republican takeover, the bills have come back. So elect candidates, whether they're Democratic, Republican, Independents, who will take a 2x4, hit these self-righteous lawmakers where it hurts. Long ago, where women just shut up, did the dishes, and told their men, whatever. Thinking, yeah, I had this wild fantasy world, but maybe politicians like Eric Cantor and Bob McDonald would love to go back to the days of hoop skirts and panelettes like Stowe and Harrow. And I would submit to you that they would both look adorable, all gussied up, Jimmy Swaggart style, famous cross-dresser with the same moral fiber. So let's take to the streets and remind them every single day of their lives that the vast majority of men and women in Virginia and across America respect freedom, are pro-choice, and don't like it when their reproductive rights are being messed with. A famous writer once said, when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. Ladies and gentlemen, it's turning weird. We're going pro, and this is just the beginning.